Bar stuff of Reddit. Have you ever had a man use the Safeword drink escape? And how often does it happen? I've unintentionally used the Safeword drink before. Went to a bar with my now fiancé and ordered 2 Manhattans, which was apparently the safe word. Bad choice in my opinion, but in the bar's defense, not exactly the place you would normally order one. I was very nicely asked come over to the sidebar, what kind of bourbon do you want? And the bartender asked if I needed a cab if I was in a dangerous or uncomfortable situation. Using an actual drink as the safe word is an awful idea. I used to bartend for a gay bar. One night I had a group of guys who seemed to be having a great time. After another round of shots, one sticks behind at the bar and asks for an angel shot. I bring him behind the bar and into the office. He was with a couple co-workers and their friends. He knew the co-workers were gay and would be taking him to a gay bar, but apparently things started to get out of hand when they started trying to grope him. I tell him he can chill in the back room for as long as he needed. He hands me a handful of crumpled 1s and asks for a burger. We didn't really serve food besides crappy bar snacks, so I hand him back his money and give him a couple bags of chips. About half an hour later I go to check on him and notice that he's really fricked up, to the point where he can't even talk. Definitely drugged with something. Luckily all his butthole friends were still there drinking, so I called the cops. He's rushed away in an ambulance immediately. I shut the bar down so the cops and I can go through the security footage. We managed to catch 2 of the guys he's with putting some powder into his beer. Both of them were arrested. The other 2 were somewhere else at the time and were let go. Thank you for helping this man. My friend's roommate was the bouncer at our college bar. My friend broke up with his GF and she wanted him back. She kept threatening to make a violation claim against him if he didn't get back together with her. After a month of not talking to her, he thought the situation was done with. I ended up seeing him at the bar one night and we're just drinking and shooting the crap. Out of nowhere his ex appears and starts flirting with him. We are both frozen in fear because he's gotta walk this fine line of not pee her off and not getting back together with her. Another bouncer burst in and booms. I told you to get the frick out. What's wrong with you two? He leads us to the back, exit only door where my friend's roommate was standing. The roommate saw the ex creeping in and at his back. He sent one bouncer to kick us out. I was let back in, and another bouncer to stall the crazy ex so he could escape. Pure bro behavior. Wholesome bro moments are the best. I used to bartend and do front desk at a hotel. One of my regulars was in for the week. Real nice guy, very friendly and happily married. We also had a cuckoo bird lady staying with us that week. She was decent looking but deaf, had crazy eyes. They were both at the bar and they were talking for a while. Him being a nice guy, he didn't want to outright blow her off, I guess. He stops at the front desk to say what's up and we talk for a bit while the girl is just standing behind him. He shoots me a look that says get me out of this situation as he starts walking towards the elevator. Once she gets in the elevator I called him back to ask a question about Detroit because I was going there next week. He got off the elevator but so did she. Then I told the lady there was a problem with the card she had on file. There wasn't, and he slipped away. He called me thanking me a few minutes later. Def had the crazy eyes. Funny how unspecific that statement is, yet I know exactly what you are talking about. My old regular bar had a drink called Neff. Need escaped, please help. Not really the name as it is another language, but that is the idea, which was not on the menu. If you order it, they call you a cab, and one of the waiters will wait next to the toilet, allowing you to pay your half there and let you into the back so you can leave unnoticed. It was available for men and women alike to get out of bad dates, though they will not really let you use it to skip on your date. They didn't advertise it really, but regulars knew it existed. They would also actively offer someone that drink if they feel their date is going to the wrong place. I saw a man being offered it once when his date was verbally abusive to him, and a woman whose date was so arrogant and creepy and talked down on her. Never actually use it myself. I actually thought it was relatively common in most neighborhood bars to have this type of drink. Love when humans look out for other humans. Yup, had exactly this happen to me years back in a nightclub I managed. Only time I've ever experienced it, so I wouldn't say it happens often. Turned out the girl he was with was an escort and she had threatened him, saying guys were waiting outside to beat the crap out of him unless he paid up so many hundreds more than what they had agreed earlier. We immediately got the police involved instead of just escorting him out. It spiraled out of control briefly, but all was well in the end. I had some good times working in the club industry. I worked in a nightclub that was popular with the gay community for a couple of years. We didn't have a safe word, but one night there were two guys clearly hitting it off. They were flirting and having a great time. After a couple of drinks, one of the guys was clearly being very forward and touchy. The other was not enjoying this and had withdrawn. He attempted to walk back to his friends, but the first guy wasn't having this and pulled him back. In an attempt to get out, the guy started vigorously shaking his head anytime one of the bar staff walked by. After this happened a few times, we realized something needed to be done and spoke to the guy that was being all forward and explained that we didn't think the other guy wanted to stay at the bar with him. He got aggressive then and started screaming at us because how the frick would we know what the guy wanted, although it was blatantly obvious. Eventually we got security down to escort the guy out of the place so that the guy who had been trying to get away could go back to his friends, have a good night and not have to leave. Here one from Eindhoven, Netherlands. I was working for a smaller bar with a mixed crowd. For both men and women we had Safeword drinks. Women, virgin tequila. Men, virgin vodka. In total I saw these ordered 2 times. The one that sticks with me the most was for Christmas Eve. This night we had mostly gay guys hanging around in the bar and some students. After a while of the students, got a lot of attention of one of the gay guys, GG, hand on leg, a lot of too personal questions, touching butt, and told he was straight and not interested. This got the bartender that overheard this on alert, and he put a napkin on the bar near where he was sitting with a red exclamation mark. So all staff knew something was up. S goes to toilet and GG orders a round of vodka shots. Bartender didn't see S, so poured the order and placed it on the bar. S comes back and GG tells him to help him empty the glasses. S starts drinking and suddenly looks very pale and sweaty. As soon as the vodka's done, GG smiles and walks to toilet. S looks worse by the second and asks for virgin vodka. At this moment 2 of the bartenders get him to one of the other bars owned by my boss and call an ambulance. The rest of the crew created a diversion for GG as soon as he came from the toilet, telling him S left for a phone call. Ambulance notice S seemed to be drugged. GG was drinking something else by then, watered down cocktails without him even noticing. And we alerted the police, who found 4 tubes of GHB on him. In the end GG was arrested and S rushed to hospital. That's fricked. Ingesting GHB when you're wasted can kill you. I used to work at a high quality seafood restaurant as a chucker. There were never any Safewords, but there were a lot of telling looks. People behind the bar hear a lot of your conversations. They usually know what's going on before you do. I've had to escort more people than my job required off of the premises. Look at the bar staff in the eyes and slightly shake your head and we know. So I am a line cook, not bar staff, but at my last job, we had cameras in the bar area, cash register, and I was talking to our night bar gal. She said a guy had asked for a taxi because he felt dizzy and disoriented and didn't feel safe. His GF was chiding him, but it turns out it wasn't her that spiked the drink. The cameras caught the guy next to this couple putting something in his drink for his GF, and he screwed up which one because they both had the same drink. So, 2 couples. One guy accidentally doses a guy's drink by mistake. The girl for the dosing guy left without him. Apparently he was impatient when it wasn't working. The worst part? We thought he was cool guy. He was a regular. They caught him next time and called the cops and showed the tapes, and last I heard he was being charged with attempted physical assault. I'm a bouncer. Had a regular dude meeting a Tinder date. She was pretty hot and I gave him a thumbs up. She was very polite and nice. 2 drinks later she became an utter bee. I walked up to him to see how it was going and he explained while she was in the toilet how much of a bee she was being to everyone. He came up to me, said how good the whiskey was he just had, and I knew straight away. He's a beer man through and through. He wanted to bail. I asked him if he would stay if he didn't meet her. He nodded. So I kicked the girl out and told her she was too drunk. He met his girlfriend of now 3 years 2 hours later after I kicked her out. You're a true bro. 8 years working at a brewery. Only one time have I had to actually save a guy, other than the funny ones, where I've helped them slip out of an awkward situation. Guy meets girl at the bar seats. They get drinks. 10 minutes later, round 2. Seems normal. They appear to be hitting it off. Out of nowhere this gal starts flipping the frick out. Couldn't understand most of what's coming out of her mouth. Screaming about this guy trying to violate her on the date. Phone in hand. Threatening to call the cops. Involving other women and crap. Had to settle this lady down for a second, grasp what's going on. No dice. Won't chill out. She runs out of the bar at full speed and takes off in her car. Never saw her in the bar again. I know this guy didn't do anything, but had to talk to cops anyways. Make a report, blah blah. Couple weeks pass by. Same guy at the bar chatting with me. On the TV. Local news. Is that woman arrested for assaulting a guy whom she accused of the same thing, then trying to flee. It was her way of getting free freaking drinks. Yay. WTF. I work in small cocktail bars in Sydney, Australia. Prime date night joints. We have something called Ask for Angela, where the idea is you just ask the bar staff if Angela is working tonight, and that'll be the hint to keep an eye on things or even call a cab. I've only had one customer, man or woman, ever use it, a nice younger guy on a date with an older gentleman. The issue was threefold. A venue at the time had quite a few backpackers on working holidays that were completely unaware of this protocol. We had a lovely Chinese girl who went by Angela working that night. And the date was going poorly in such a fashion that to the untrained eye, it looked like two work acquaintances having a drink. There was that little chemistry between them. Apparently the older gentleman followed the younger in the bathroom and copped a feel, prompting the Ask for Angela. It was a huge runaround, to be honest. It took quite a while for a native English speaker to tune into the argument behind the bar where Angela was explaining that she had no idea who this guy was. So eventually he got some help. He ordered 2 cocktails at the bar, asked her if Angela was working tonight, saying she made them the best. We ended up ordering an Uber for him while he feigned an emergency, and brought their drinks out in time that the older bloke sorta felt obligated to stay and finish them, just as his Uber arrived. Unfortunately, a lot of bars have joined the Ask for Angela campaign. It's government sponsored. Posted the signs in their ladies' rooms, and called it a day. No staff training. This is because it puts you on a government list of safe bars and, well, nobody can give up free publicity. Very disappointing. I also believe it needs to better extend to men on poor dates as well. I rarely see the posters in men's rooms, just gender neutral and ladies. This is why it shouldn't be asking for a person. It should be a coded drink. If you've got staff with the same name, things to pear shaped. Not quite the same, but I worked in a coffee shop on a busy high street this year and had a similar sort of thing happen. We noticed one customer had come in, ordered, and sat opposite the counter, which meant that he was staring at me and my other female colleagues for about 30 minutes straight. We wondered if he was high, as he didn't seem aware of himself, but his gaze was following me as I walked up and down the counter, which was about 8 meters long. We then closed and the customers sitting inside left, including a very nice, young couple who walked up the street away from the shop, as did the weird guy. About 10 minutes later, the couple came back to the door, which we had locked, and knocked, saying they'd left a phone behind. They came in and told us that the man had followed them for 10 minutes towards their home, so they came back to hide. Only had one incident of a man using Ask for Angela UK Safeword scheme. Gay kid on a bad date. His date had been extremely overbearing and even having to witness it from the bar was extremely uncomfortable. We smuggled him into the kitchen and out the side door while his date went to the bathroom and called him a taxi. Date came back from the bathroom, asked where the kid was. I just went dunno. Date started getting aggro with me, so supervisor ended up throwing this guy out by the collar. It honestly doesn't get used enough, by either men or women, especially here in the UK. It absolutely sucks. Especially when you as a bartender can't really legally do much, or you risk not only your job, but the bar's reputation. I live in the UK and I haven't ever heard of Ask for Angela, so I think that may be why it doesn't get used much. Worked in a pub in Ireland as a bouncer. Not a common thing here to have a get me out of here shot, so no signs or that, but there was some Facebook post calling them angel shots that did its rounds. Girls would say they've to go to us and we'd know. No code words or crap. Anyway, one night I'm doing my thing in this nice bar, and a guy approaches me in front of a group of friends being a bit boisterous from a fancy restaurant across the road, and he says he needs an angel shot. So we let them in, but I hold him there questioning his id as his friend make fun of me and him as I'm 22. This guy was maybe 35ish and I was a kid telling a man no. So they hang about for him. So I can't ask him what's up. I tell him no, he's had too much tonight. I hail a taxi down and he pretends to resist getting in, so I basically pick him up and carry him into the taxi. He throws me 50 euros into my jacket pocket discreetly and the taxi goes off then. Nothing big. 2 days later I'm working again, same bunch of guys from the restaurant come over. The angel shot guy isn't there. 3 days later angel shot guy comes but very early and explains it all to me. Turns out his friends were doing coke. All professional people, and a girl was violated in the bathroom. He said at first she wanted to frick one of them, but then 2 guys came in, then she wanted out and couldn't. This guy tried to interject but couldn't, and then felt uncomfortable and didn't want a part of this, so wanted to leave but was told if he did they'd hurt him, and the reason they all returned 2 days later was his going away drinks that he didn't attend, obviously. The guys were then charged like a month later. Can't find public info on it anymore. Only time I ever had to use the get me out of here shot. Not a bar staff, but I have a happier version of this. My brother-in-law once had a bunch of friends declare that tonight we are getting a drunk and that they were going to buy all of his drinks for the night. My Bill is a pretty big guy, careful with his drink, and his friends had never seen him drunk. Their mistake was that they let him choose the venue. He chose the, at the time, only cocktail bar in town. Bill went there ahead of time, explained to the bartender, and asked if he could make a non-alcoholic drink just for him. Bartender agreed, and told him to order the house special, non-alcoholic, but with enough flavor and pepper to feel like a strong drink. It went as expected. Bill had a few beers with his mates, then started ordering specials while the others drank regular liquor. And that is how my Bill could match everyone drink for drink, and still put everybody under the table. Not an exact Ask Angela, but it happened to myself and my mates on a night out. Was out with a few mates and the GF at the time. As my GF went into the bathroom of the club, I sat outside near a table with the boys. A few moments go by. I had this guy approach me discreetly, acting as a long lost mate at first, till he said I'm being harassed and threatened by my ex and her new BF. I feel like I'm going to get bashed, can you help me get out of here? Dude was young and fairly drunk and I didn't believe him for a moment. Then I saw this big frick-off giant with rage in his eyes staring at him from the dance floor. I walked him away and downstairs, flanked by my mates who clogged the stairwell until we got to the sports bar and approached a bouncer. He called through on the radio and got him a cab away home, and the agitator and his ex kicked out. Honestly, just everyone look after everyone. If someone needs help or assistance, help them get to staff or help them get to staff, so they can ask for help or help them leave safely and quietly. It costs nothing and you might help save a life or prevent violence against them. Just be a decent human, bro, and make this world a better place, bro. TLDR. Stopped some guy getting attacked by his ex's new giant BF. The real moral to the story is, just be a bro to everyone. If we, guys, need help and ask for it, men, women, just help without judging. It costs nothing. If it was you, you would want someone to help you. I work occasional shifts at a gay bar, where they don't really have a Safeword drink, because where would they advertise that without the other party knowing? But there are still other ways that people surreptitiously ask for help, like writing something on the receipt or on a napkin. One guy, probably 19 or so, walked up to the bar and asked if he could charge his phone. When he handed it to me, he had already dialed in 911, or, well, our equivalent. And I'd say we get someone walking up to the guards or to the bar to complain about a creep at least once a week, especially when they're pretty young. Smart move with the phone. Not bar staff and didn't happen to me, but my boyfriend, military, was roofied in a bar by a girl. before we were dating. It's actually apparently not that unheard of for women near military bases to drug violate or coerce men into unprotected physical intimacy so they can get pregnant. Since the military will take a massive chunk, I think 30-50%, of his paycheck and give it to the baby mama. His buddy got him out before anything happened, but he doesn't remember that night. Whoa, this is some evil crap. Not exactly what you were asking for, but my boss had to sneak me out the back and drive me to my bus stop and wait for the bus with me. He couldn't drive me home because it was 2 AM and I lived 1 hour away, because this guy would not leave me alone. We closed down the bar early. I worked as a karaoke host bartender at this place. He stood out there for 1.5 hours. He was very clingy while inside, wanted me to come home with him and everything. You've encountered the lost treasure of Captain Gus Fishhead. Subscribe to receive some of his gold. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.